Are all the exciting myths and legends true? A few years ago, a news item hit the headlines that was subsequently completely forgotten. Archaeologists have tracked down the tomb of the legendary Gilgamesh. Even more, some recordings are supposed to show us even the real corpse of the supernatural being. But how is this even possible? And why doesn't anybody talk about this sensational discovery, which overturns our entire worldview? And what does the invasion of Iraq have to do with this revolutionary discovery? Stay tuned and follow us into a mystical realm that will shake you to your foundations. An incredible find. Iraq in 2003. A few weeks after the first U.S. troops invaded the state in the Near East, a team of archaeologists led by Jörg Fassbinder made a discovery that seemed to come from another world. Thus, on April 29th, the BBC published an article that bore the following headline: Gilgamesh Tomb Probably Found. But what should have fueled an archaeological revolution was lost in the turmoil of the ensuing war. However, the tomb of King Gilgamesh was by no means the only thing the expedition uncovered at the time. No, probably the experts even discovered the entire city of Uruk. Concerning the tomb, Fassbinder stated, "I would not like to say with any last certainty that this is the tomb of King Gilgamesh, but it looks very similar to the tomb described in the epic. A quick look at the source mentioned shows that Gilgamesh was buried under the Euphrates River after his death. If one follows the legend, then the river was specifically diverted for the grave plant, and after completion again into its own courses. On that, nobody may ever find the last resting place." Against this background, a fundamental question arises. How do you discover a tomb that lies dormant beneath a mighty river? Well, with the help of modern technology. According to Fassbinder, it was the differences in the magnetization of the soil that revealed the hidden secret. Thus, the variations drew a very detailed picture of a structure that lies beneath the sediments. In this way, the researchers were able to create a magnetogram that was digitally mapped, creating a map of Uruk. By far, the most surprising thing Fassbinder said was the discovery of numerous structures that had already been described in the ancient Gilgamesh epic. No matter whether gardens, fields, or houses, everything appeared as it was written in the millennia-old collection. No less impressive was the discovery of an incredibly sophisticated system of canals. According to experts, this was a kind of Venice in the desert. Gilgamesh. But what does this sensational discovery mean for the rest of historiography? Because basically, if one part of the Gilgamesh epic has already turned out to be authentic, why shouldn't the other passages be historically accurate as well? Well, the conservative researchers would probably answer this question as follows: because it is absolutely impossible. The stories reported in the epic are so fantastic, so supernatural, that they can only be pure fiction. Can they not? Before we delve deeper into this red-hot topic, it is advisable to first clarify who Gilgamesh was in the first place. Although Gilgamesh is mentioned in the Sumerian king list and also in other written sources, the historians are divided until today whether the ruler of Uruk really existed. Those who place the existence of Gilgamesh, not only in the literary, would believe that he was in power at the beginning of the 3rd millennium before Christ. The fact that the historical personality is always questioned is mainly due to the fact that most of the information comes from the mythical Gilgamesh epic. This is a series of inscribed clay tablets which were rediscovered in the 19th century and translated by the English researcher George Smith. Since the epic is only preserved in fragments, which were also written in different languages, the reconstruction was anything but easy. And yet, in the course of time, experts succeeded in piecing together the countless pieces of the mosaic into a coherent overall picture. The Divine Ruler. Divided into 12 panels, the very first passage proves that Gilgamesh is no ordinary king. He is 2/3 divine and 1/3 human. Because of this, the ruler also possesses extraordinary powers as well as an equally fearless and rough character. Because the ruthless ruler forces the people of Uruk to build colossal monumental structures, the women of the city complain to the goddess Ishtar. To put a stop to Gilgamesh's rude ways, the gods create a wild creature, Enkidu. When Enkidu and Gilgamesh meet in Uruk, a merciless fight breaks out between the two opponents. However, after neither can bring the other to his knees, The supernatural brawlers sink exhausted to the ground and become friends. When the goddess Ishtar later sees Gilgamesh, she falls in love with him. The king, however, rejects all advances, so that the offended Ishtar asks Anu, the father of the gods, to unleash a monstrous sky bull. And although the beast then kills countless men of Uruk, Gilgamesh and Enkidu succeed in striking down the monster. For the council of the gods, it is now finally certain that the two friends must be subdued at all costs. However, the perfidious punishment goes beyond a simple double murder. Only Enkidu is to die, so that Gilgamesh is condemned to live a desperate existence without his companion. The loss of Enkidu also brings another circumstance to the king's attention, his own transitoriness. Thus, it comes about that Gilgamesh goes on a journey to find out how death can be conquered. The way to immortality. After some time, Gilgamesh finally arrives at Utanapishti, one of the ancestors who has attained immortality. When asked how it is possible to escape death, Utanapishti delivers sobering news. Only the gods are capable of deciding over life and death. But Gilgamesh does not understand this. Why does he have to die while Utanapishti, who is so similar to him, possesses eternal life? At this point, Utanapishti reveals a long-kept secret. He tells Gilgamesh that the god Enki once warned him of an all-destroying flood. Furthermore, Enki advised the mortal to build a great ship to save his family and the animals of the steppe. No sooner said than done. Utanapishti followed the divine instructions and survived the devastating catastrophe. In gratitude for his heroic deeds, he and his wife were elevated to immortal gods and led to the land of the blessed. Doesn't this story sound strangely familiar? In fact, this passage of the epic bears striking similarities to the biblical tradition of Noah's Ark. Due to this, many historians assume that the Gilgamesh epic served as a direct model of exactly this narration. But be this as it may, a find and a loss of the plant of the eternal youth later, Gilgamesh must realize he cannot escape from his fate. However, he realizes that it is possible to achieve an immortal name through great heroic deeds and as a good king. The Nephilim King. The account of the flood is not the only stoop that can be made between the Epic of Gilgamesh and the Bible. If we stick our nose into the 6th chapter of the book of Genesis, we read, "Then the sons of the gods saw how beautiful the daughters of men were, and they took for wives whom they wished. When the sons of God went into the daughters of men and bore them children, they became the giants. These are the heroes of the ancient times, the highly famous ones. Those giant-like hybrid beings who hopelessly outshine humans in size and strength are also known as Nephilim. As we remember, both human and divine blood also flowed through Gilgamesh's veins. As mentioned earlier, the ruler, just like the giants, is said to have possessed superhuman strength. And a look at the depictions of Gilgamesh holding full-grown lions that look like tiny pussycats in his paws suggests that he was also extremely large. Because of these parallels, some individuals are rock-solidly convinced that Gilgamesh was in fact descended from the Nephilim. With Utanapisht, it could have acted again around the biblical figure Enoch. The latter served as a mediator between the disgraced sons of God and the Lord of the worlds. In the end, the Nephilim were destroyed by a gigantic flood. Enoch, for his faithful service, was eventually admitted to the heavenly paradise without having to die. A cover-up? They didn't see anything. This never happened. A soldier is silent. Some U.S. veterans who served in Iraq state that these phrases are commonplace during their deployment. Some soldiers take these claims even further. In truth, the sole purpose of the Iraq War was to obscure historical truth. Okay, admittedly, the reasons for the invasion that were advanced at that time seem anything but convincing from today's perspective. Allegedly, the United States only carried out a preemptive strike because Iraq was in possession of powerful weapons of mass destruction, none of which have been found to date. True to the motto, "Pictures say more than 1,000 words," we would like to conclude by looking at a disturbing recording. Allegedly, the video was made in 2003 and shows us nothing but the corpse of Gilgamesh. Adorned with glittering artifacts and a golden crown, the ruler appears as if he had only recently passed from life. but not as far back as the 3rd millennium BC. But how can this be? Who or what did we see in the clip? Is the footage authentic or a fake after all? To help us crack the mystery, just write your opinion about the shot in the comments. Do you think that the Gilgamesh epic has a kernel of truth? Is the historical truth being deliberately hidden from us? We look forward to your constructive comments. Also, feel free to leave us a subscription and a thumbs up so you'll never miss one of our videos again. And with that, we say thank you for watching and see you next time.